r/Airbnb hosts. Slow Cranberry 3171 says, home birth in an Airbnb. I'm just curious about what some hosts' thoughts are on this. My friend is renting an Airbnb to have a home birth in. I personally wouldn't want myself or anyone intentionally giving birth in my house. Extreme Onion 6731 says, do a home birth in your own home, not mine. Glittering Knave says, apparently, there are people that want home births, but also to be within /15 minutes of a hospital if they live farther away than that. The solution? Not look into birthing centers or even visit the maternity ward to see if they can make it more homey. Nope, rent a stranger's house and hope for the best. Bob 12 Pack says, my sister-in-law had a home water birth. Everything went fine with the birth, but at some point after the delivery, something went wrong with the pool. It split open, dumping all the water, pee, poop, blood, and placenta on their second-story hardwood floors. It took out the drywall ceiling and a wall on the floor below. Insurance wouldn't cover it. It cost them way more than a hospital birth. They think the dog did it. No thanks, not in my Airbnb. Pin Comprehensive 5390 says, I've had 4 successful home births with an insanely talented midwife. Within hours following my birth, you'd never know anything happened there. Having said that, I would definitely not want someone to do this at my rental. Capped Blackfoot says, yikes, my friend did this in an apartment she rented. Halfway through she ended up going to the hospital in an ambulance instead. Another friend of ours was asked if she could clean up while they were in the hospital. Nobody thought about having to empty the large inflatable pool in the living room that was now filled with water, placenta, and even poop. It doesn't have to be so messy, but it's likely not going to be super clean either. Why is she wanting to give birth in someone else's home instead of a hospital? DVMDV8 says, for me that would be a hard pass if I knew about it. Biggie Wallace says, rip to the towels and bedding. Honig Moon says, closes laptop slowly /. Anna Sunday says, have your home birth in your home. Emmy Lau says, what the frick? Absolutely not, and I don't think I could be friends with anyone who did this. Pitch and Huck says, I feel like you should warn the host. Somehow? If you can get the listing? I know this clearly violates your friendship and probably breaks some sort of Airbnb privacy clause, but I would absolutely want to know if this was happening in my home. I have the same sort of feelings about guests who rent through Airbnb to recover from surgery. Like, please don't leave excessive blood, bodily fluids, biological waste, etc. in my home. Don't make me buy a hazmat suit to clean my house. Another poster made an excellent point about the birthing pools used during a home delivery. These, at a minimum, require 130 gallons of water and weigh nearly 1000 lbs. When filled, my guts clenched at the thought of that being on my 100-year-old hardwood floors. And insurance? I can't imagine someone suffering a medical emergency at my home and somehow being on the hook for damages, etc. I understand if someone broke their leg, if I had a flimsy porch or something. Obviously, I'd take responsibility for that. But the thought of someone purposefully having a medical event at my house, where there is a likelihood that it can go pear-shaped, is horrifying to me. r/Airbnb hosts. Grumpy Grumpabum says, prospective guest doesn't want to provide it to Airbnb with it documents, is sending me angry messages. A prospective guest has sent a request to book. They've not used Airbnb before, so I know I'd be taking a risk in accepting them, but they are now furious and sending me angry messages because Airbnb want them to provide it before they can book on the platform. The prospective guest is telling me that she works at a bank and that is it not safe to ever request or provide passports or a driver's license because of identity theft. But hotels require it, surely? Fallark says. Skip that one. Trust us. Ralph1 says. Time to say no thanks. Dileton Test says. Hotels require IDs and credit cards and you have neither of those, so you should refuse the booking. Was1449 says. Even if there isn't something shady going on, there are probably going to be a huge PR. Definitely turn down. Goombudget says. Cancel us app. Definition not worth the hassle. OK Indication 7876 says. Thank you but your request to book is denied, then block her. Galian General says. I work in a bank and require clients to show me their ID before I speak with them. I also require it from all my guests. If they don't want to provide it, they are welcome to stay somewhere else. Grumpy Grumpabum says. Thanks everyone for the good advice. You've all confirmed to me that my gut instinct is correct. Venice Murph says. This is a requirement to book with the Airbnb platform. You should take the matter up with Airbnb support. I will not, however, be able to accept your reservation, but I'm sure you'll find a great place. Take care. Aharatoidalize says. If they were just confused about it, that'd be one thing. But the angry messages are uncalled for. I would decline the booking with no hesitation. To give background, hotels are legally required to verify the identity of the guests. Since Airbnbs don't have that legal requirement, I've also gotten some pushback on it. I use it to make sure I don't have random/unauthorized people on the property, but guests don't always understand that. Beelvendorn says. It's just the rules. Follow them or use a hotel. Ancient Grape 1090 says. Let them go stay at a roach motel. Moist Artichoke 1595 says. Ask for proof that she works in a bank. A copy of her security pass with photo should be enough. Oh, and ask for copy of her driving license or passport photo page to check that the photos match. Ababab70 says. Outside the US is common practice, and in many countries, required by law to present it and the establishment makes a copy. I have to take pictures of guests' IDs and submit them with the tax declaration. But a serious one says. You have to provide your ID in advance to book a doctor's appointment. She is cray cray. Heavy Fondant says. Let it go. Let it be someone else's problem. And the guest is wrong. r/Airbnb hosts. Squareshi Fida says. Week-long discount after guest already checks in. I recently had guests check in for a 6-night stay in our Airbnb. On the 4th day of their stay they decided they'd like to stay another night, and the unit was available for a 7th night, so they sent along an alteration request for their reservation. The problem was that, by adding the 7th night it activated my 20% off for week-long stays, which of course applied to the entire stay, and resulted in me having to pay her $50 for her to stay an extra night, as the cost of one night was less than 20% of the entire stay. I was able to negotiate with her to just give her the extra night for free by adjusting the price and allowing her a late checkout. I understand why it happened, and I have adjusted my weekly discount so that this won't happen again, but I feel like Airbnb shouldn't allow that to happen. The week-long discount should only be available on the initial reservation. An extension after check-in should be considered a separate stay, minus a cleaning fee, or something. Subaka says. I don't think Airbnb necessarily did anything wrong in this situation, nor did they put you in this position. 20% is extreme for a weekly discount. No reason you should ever be willing to take less money for a 7-night stay than for a 6-night stay. Guests extend their stays all the time, so this won't be the last time something like this happens. If you're genuinely willing to offer a free night for a week-long stay, then set the discount to 14%. Impossible Cat 321 says, well played by the guest. As a host I'm not even mad. Laterdata says, next time, that's how you do it. Don't extend it onto the initial reservation, instead have the guest book it as a separate stay and adjust the price accordingly to remove the equivalent of the cleaning fee and to apply any other discount you choose. Simply changing your nightly rate to account for the removal of the fee, etc. is the easiest way instead of trying to refund it. Anxious Cheetah 5589 says, we used to have that problem when we offered 20% weekly discount. That 7 nights was cheaper than 6. We've since changed to 10%, partially to avoid the pricing discontinuity. The way we'd handle it is, we'd give a special discount at time of booking to prevent this problem. Explain the situation, and knock $50 or $100 off for 6-day bookings. 6 days is almost the same as 7, there's no reason that there should be a step decrease in price on that 7th day. Doombudget says, pretty sure you can modify the price before sending when you create an adjustment. Jadiga says, that's interesting because I have a discount at a 2-night stay and I had a guest recently try to extend for an extra day, but the discount didn't apply. It was weird. I thought it was supposed to do what you're describing, but I'm wondering why it didn't work now. Tori Alliance says, this is mostly why I only give 10% off for a week-long stay. I did the maths and figured out that would be too many free nights. Claptrap Nap Chap says, you're likely leaving money on the table with that big of a discount. Try 10%. Shroom Thime says, I would have happily given the discount, even if it cost me $50, and considered it the price of trying to get weekly rentals and creating positive relationships with guests, who I hope come back again, which ultimately increases future demand and allows me to increase my nightly rate in the future. Look at it as an investment. I have a 3-day minimum, and on average my property rents out for 3 or 4 nights, which almost always includes the weekend. Every time this happens I have an empty house for 3 to 4 days until the next guest, which is a bunch of lost $. Because of this I offer a 20% weekly discount, hoping to get a 7-day rental. While the 20% discount results in the guest getting 1.4 days free, that is still 5.6 paid days, which is 1.6-2.6 more paid days than I usually get. I just had a guest who rented for a week, but left after 6 days. She was originally That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.